What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over an extremely easy method to be doing ED2 with necromancy. This method is going to be completely revolution, and you really only have to deal with a couple mechanics for really only Astallarn and the Blackstone Dragon at the end. Once you get the hang of this, it should be extremely easy for pretty much anybody with necromancy. So really quickly, to be going over the preset I was using for this method, you can see I was using the Persistent Rage, Conservation of Energy, and Fury of the Small Relics. Obviously, you don't need to be having the Conservation of Energy relic. That's a pretty high level requirement, but if you can get it, it definitely helps out quite a bit with your Death Skulls. But I find the Persistent Rage relic can be really nice to rebuild Adrenaline. You just kind of stand in with the boss instances and rebuild to 100% in between fighting the monsters and getting to the bosses, just to be making the bosses a little bit faster. For the familiar, the Blood Reaver is the best here. Pretty much everything in this dungeon, including the bosses, is poisonable, so you're gonna want to be spamming out that poison damage. For the gear, you can see I just have tier 90 weapons as well as Death Warden. Obviously, you could be using the first Necromancer robes of tier 95s, but you shouldn't need to have that high level of gear for this method. You can also be using Death Dealer, but I don't know, that armor is kind of bad. But for the inventory, it's a pretty standard inventory. Just have your Ritual Shard as well as an Excalibur, maybe some extra food and prayer pots, and then the most important thing you're going to need is going to be the Overload Salve. Obviously, you don't need a salve, but you do need some form of anti-dragon fire, and the salve is obviously just the best way to be getting that. Since there are so many dragons in this dungeon, you don't want to get burned to a crisp, so definitely be having some sort of anti-fire. And then finally, you can bring an enhanced replenishment potion to be making your Death Skulls rotations a little bit cleaner, or your Living Death rotations a little bit cleaner and getting more Death Skulls. So definitely be bringing one of those if you want to be doing that manual input. But yeah, pretty standard preset, and there are definitely a lot of upgrades you could have over what you see here. Alright guys, so before I start this dungeon, there is one thing that I want to be going over, and that is going to be the additional action bar. So to set one of these up, it is very easy. You just hit this little gear here, and then you go into the combat and action bar settings, and then action bar, and then you come down here to the additional action bar section, and then you can see I have bar number 13 set up. You can just easily turn on an additional action bar just like this. And for the additional action bar, I like to have the ability to precast my conjures, maybe life transfer, invoke death if you want to be using this, and then like a Vuln Bomb. Threads of Fate is very good for clearing the dungeon. The replenishment potion on here can help out quite a bit. And then maybe a couple defensives. I don't really use these in the dungeon at all, but you might, find this helpful to have some defensives. And then finally, you definitely want to have food as well as your Cerebrew keybound onto something. But other than that, this is a pretty easy dungeon. I do have a second additional action bar, pretty much just with movement abilities, really, and darkness here as well. But yeah, this is going to be an incredibly low effort method to be doing ED2. I find you should be able to revo through every single boss while dealing with as few mechanics as possible. You do have to deal with a couple mechanics here and there that you absolutely can't just revo and face tank, but other than those, you should be able to pretty much just revo through everything. So I'm gonna speed up the dungeon here, just kind of speed through the dungeon portion and maybe talk about that afterwards. I guess before we start this, you can see I am using the tier 90 weapons and Death Warden just to show that this works perfectly fine with this. Obviously, the first Necromancer robes will work as well. They get faster kills. But yeah, to start this up, I like to use Darkness, and then we will kill all of these little slimes here. Make sure you have all of your buffs turned on. And for the slimes are definitely the most annoying part of the dungeon. I like to Threads of Fate and Volley of Souls these to make these as easy to kill as possible. You can see once you kill enough of them, the door will open, and then I immediately will go into the next room. So for this part, I'm just going to speed it up. You can see we go through here and we pretty much just kill these dragons very easily. I let the slimes just kind of pile on me with necromancy. You don't have to deal too much with them, and the death skulls will usually just kind of kill them. But then you can see here, once we're done killing the dragons, we go to the end of this bridge and pile up all of the moss golems, or whatever, the lava golems, and use threads of fate on them. And then you can see we kill that celestial dragon. All you have to do is stun it. There's like a little red message that pops up, and you just stun it with the tier 90 spec or a soul strike. And then you can see here we do have to kill these 3 celestial dragons here. Once you kill those, we go and we kill this 1 celestial dragon here. Make sure you only kill the one that's closest to the stairs, and then you can see we kill the one that is closest to the door there. So, like I said before, you can stand in these entrances over here. You can see, because we didn't kill the celestial dragon over here, all of the stuff gets stuck behind it, and you can stand here and you will be able to get full adrenaline to start out the Astallarn fight. You don't have to do this, but it definitely will make your life, I guess, a little bit easier. So when we go into the Astallarn fight, there are a few mechanics that we do have to go over for this fight. So I'm just gonna sit here and talk through this while, I'm just waiting or whatever. But Astallarn does a couple of mechanics that are that can kill you. So the first mechanic that Astallarn will do is he will summon a little sphere on the ground, and then at the same time that he summons that sphere, he will also, or she or whatever, will also spawn this crystal rain stuff from the ceiling. And the crystal rain, if we zoom out here, you can see the arena. You can kind of section it off into quadrants like this, based around Astallarn as the center of that quadrant. So you can kind of look at the arena in 4 different sections, and when he summons that crystal rain, it will be in one of the quadrants. So obviously, if you're standing in the center of the room, kind of like I am, you can be standing here, and then if the rain spawns on you, you can just run across over here a few squares and then be out of the rain. That'll become very important for the first kind of dangerous mechanic that Astallarn will do. And that mechanic is going to be the black hole. So a little text box will appear, and you will have a blue bar filling up above your head. When that blue bar fills up, a black hole will spawn under your feet, and it will do a ton of damage if you stand in it. And then where you want to place the black hole, again, like I said, if you look at it in those quadrants, you want to place it in the center of the room. So if the rain stuff spawns over here, you can just stand over here and not have to deal with the rain, and then vice versa. You can stand on this side to deal with the rain if it spawns over here. And that black hole, like I said, you don't want to be standing in it. Astallarn will spawn this little orb called a pulsar, and the pulsar will lure to you from wherever it will spawn. And what you want to do is lure the pulsar into the black hole, and it will turn it into a white hole. And then you can stand in the white hole and do a ton of damage, and you should be able to kill it by the time that the white hole pretty much ends. But as you can maybe assume, because we want to be standing in the white hole, you want to place it in the center of the room, because obviously you want to be standing in it and you don't want to be standing in the rain. So kind of a lot to talk about. Once you get the hang of it, it is relatively simple here. So let's just start up this fight. Probably turn on an aura. And yeah, so to start out the fight, it is very easy. You can pre-cast your conjures if you want, just like this, and then we will start up the fight here. So you can chuck a Vuln Bomb on it, and it should be relatively easy. You just Revo here for a little bit. As you can see, it'll hit you with magic hits, but you should be able to out-heal those. And then you can see the crystal rain spawned, so I am going to stand on the opposite quadrant. And then, like I said, he spawns this little orb, and we kill it, and then we will go back on to Astallarn over here. You can use a replenishment if you want, and then you can see we get the text message and the bar, so we stand in the center of the room and then drop the black hole and then walk out of it. And then you can see he spawns the little pulsar thingy, and we lured it into the black hole. It was kind of hard to see that. Maybe I'll put a better resolution image of that for a better spawn. But yeah, then you can see we pretty much just stand in the white hole here, and we DPS him down. And as you can see, we do increased damage when we are in the white hole, and you should be able to kill it when you're in this white hole. It's very, very easy. And as you can see, that was a 54-second kill. Definitely a pretty quick kill, and obviously you can be getting significantly faster kills with tier 95s. But yeah, that is probably the most dangerous boss in this entire dungeon, simply because that the black hole thing under your feet, that pulsar, that orb that you lure into the black hole, it can spawn on your head and just clap your cheeks out real quick if you're not paying attention. So definitely be paying attention with the black hole thing, because it can be really, really annoying if you do it incorrectly. If you don't create a white hole, you do reduced damage. So yeah, you definitely want to be creating that white hole. You can just stand in the black slime stuff, the black hole I mean, and like reflect, but you know, it is what it is. So now I'm just gonna speed this part up again. As you can see, we just kill these 2 lava strike worms to open the door, and then we go all the way across here to the black dragons. You can see how I lure them towards the gate so they all kind of pile up, and it makes the Death Skulls AoE a little bit better. That's definitely a very helpful tip for these dragons and then the next ones as well here. So you can see we do the same thing here. We go all the way towards the gate, and then we lure them all in close. And then we can AoE them down again with Death Skulls and maybe some Threads of Fate and Volley of Souls and stuff. And just try to AoE these things down as fast as possible. Once you kill them, you run past those 2 strike worms there up to these 4, and we have to kill these 4 strike worms. And then after we kill these, we will have to kill a few more dragons here, as you can see. I like to kill the 3 dragons that are really close to each other here first, just with like a Threads of Fate. And you should be able to burst those down very quickly. And then you can see we kill this final dragon before we start up the Verak Lith portion of this fight. You can see here, we start Verak Lith now. So much like before I start the Verak Lith fight, I'm just going to talk through this a little bit. Verak Lith is an incredibly easy boss with Necromancy. You basically don't have to deal with any of the mechanics besides moving a few tiles for the little dragon breath thing that he shoots across the floor, as well as killing the pylons. So it's a very easy boss fight. You can pretty much face tank all of the other mechanics. So we'll get into that. But like I said before, you can't just wait here and let your adrenaline rebuild to 100%. But we will get right into this boss fight here. So much like before, we pretty much just revo this thing down. When you do use Living Death, you can use your Adrenaline Potion to be getting a little bit faster kills. You can also Vol Bomb if you want, and you can also pre-invoke death if you really care, pre-summon, conjure, whatever. But you can see here, we get this little text box, and then Verak Lith will summon this pillar. This makes Verak Lith immune to damage, so you have to be killing these pillars here. And then, yeah, pretty easy to kill these. We just kill the pillar, and then we turn back and start attacking Verak Lith, and you can see we now can do damage again. And we should be able to just 100% revo this boss down. You can see he will do this mechanic where there's this thingy on the ground and a little orb, but this only hits a 4,000, so you can pretty much just face tank it, or you could use like Reflect or whatever to reduce the damage. But again, with Necromancy, you have so much healing that it's pretty easy to be just face tanking that mechanic. And then you can see he will summon another pillar here. The way that these pillars work is every other mechanic that he does will be a pillar. So he will do a pillar, and then that orb explosion thing, and then a pillar, and then the dragon line thing, and then a pillar, and then another orb, and then the pillar, and then he will do the mass AoE lava thing. So you can see there's this little circle and an arrow, and then you can see we just move out of the range of that hit when it happens and continue to revo this boss down. Again, this boss is incredibly easy. It doesn't really do too many mechanics, and you can kind of just face tank them all. If you do get the Magma Tornado mechanic, just surge through Verak Lith, and you should be fine to dodge that mechanic. Generally, I find you should be able to skip that mechanic as long as you hit pretty decent. But with tier 90s and the tier 90 tank armor, you might not have enough DPS to be skipping everything. It kind of just is what it is, but as you can see here, we can pretty much just revo through all of the mechanics. Like, they're really not even there, to be honest. You can see 4,000 damage is so little HP when you have tier 90 weapon, or tier 90 tank armor, that it is pretty easy to be dealing with. But yeah, as you can see, you can just revo through this very easily. And then you can see he's going to summon another Spire here. Could definitely be killing that. And then after this Spire, he will do the Lava Tornadoes. You can see he only has 40,000 HP left, so we should be able to kill him before he does that here. But as you can see, if he does do this, you just surge across the room. You would like surge through Verak Lith like that, and then this wouldn't do anything. But as you can see, we kill it before it happens anyway. And then one little tip here I can give you is after you kill Verak Lith, it's faster to use the chest to teleport to the bridge than it is to run all the way back there, obviously. So we're going to come here to the chest, and then we are going to teleport to the 4th area here. and it will bring you right back to the bridge over here, and then we can kill the gemstone dragons. So I'm just gonna speed this part up again. The gemstone dragons are kind of easy to kill. They're kind of annoying. You can see they shoot these little spikes across the floor if you're not standing melee distance. So definitely be keeping an eye on the dragons that are far away from you and dodging those spikes. You don't have to kill those 2 onyx dragons that will get lured in. You only have to kill the 4 next to the gate. And then we move over here and kill these 2 gemstone dragons as well. And then you can see we go all the way across to the next set of gemstone dragons right next to the next gate. Again, you can skip those 2 hydrix dragons in that bigger room, and then you know, once you kill these 2 dragons, you come over here and kill these final 2 dragons, and this will open the gate to the Blackstone Dragon. You definitely don't want to be getting hit by these mechanics before you start. I just got a glaive and a wingtip. Yeah, but you definitely don't want to be getting your adrenaline drained before you start the final boss fight here. So you can see here, we are going to start the final boss fight. I'm just going to talk through this while we do it so these dragons don't lure in here. But this boss fight is incredibly easy. You can see here, we will just, I'm not going to use my adrenaline potion here, but basically this dragon will shake your screen and then you have to dodge that dragonstone dragon type mechanic. You see screen shakes a little bit and then this little thing on the floor here. Definitely run away from that because it can hit pretty hard. But other than that mechanic, you don't really have to do anything else besides just stand here and DPS. You should have enough passive healing and whatever to be dealing with the Blackstone Dragon very easily. And then you can see once he gets to 515k, he will become pretty much immune to damage here, and then he will summon these black hands. The black hands kind of can hit kind of hard here. You can see he'll tank both of these hits, and they both hit about 4,000 each. And then these black hands go from the hands to where you are standing, so you do have to move from those. But, you know, once you get used to moving from them, they are very easy to dodge. And as you can see here, we can kind of just kill these very easily and Revo them down. And by the time, you can see, by the time that they do another one of those magic hits, you already should have enough HP to be tanking 2 of them at the same time without a problem, really. So as you can see, these are very easy to deal with as long as you're only getting attacked by 2 of them or less at a time. You can see smoke comes out and then we dodge the hands, the little black hand thing on the floor. And then we kill them and then we go and fight another one. As you can see, we can stand behind them and only hit 1 at a time, so we're not taking both of those hits. But again, it's really not that big of a deal, all things considered. I'm gonna replenishment here to be getting my Death Skulls out. See, we dodged the hand, very easy, and then we can continue to Revo through these bosses here. And then we'll kill the final hand here. And again, just make sure you're dodging the black hand mechanic. I'll get hit by it here just to show you what happens. It does actually do a ton of damage. So you can see here, black hands are coming and it does 2,300 damage per tick. So definitely don't be standing in that because you'll have a bad time. And then we can go back on to the Blackstone Dragon here. Make sure you're like Vuln bombing if you want. And now after you kill the hands, he will do this mechanic where he summons a big circle of fire. You can see here the big circle of fire is coming. What I like to do for this is step back a little bit, and then you can see the circle of fire will spiral inwards and you should be out of the range of it. You can see here, Necromancy does have enough range to let this go in between you and the dragon. It's pretty easy to dodge this. It does hit kind of hard if you don't dodge it, but you know, as you can see, we can kind of just sit here and Revo this boss down like it's no big deal. As long as you deal with the area-based mechanics, the movement mechanics, you can see he summons this big AoE thing here. Just surge away from that if it does spawn near you. Usually it doesn't spawn near you like this, it'll spawn like across the arena, but as you can see, pretty easy to dodge that. Screen shakes, pretty easy to dodge that. You know, once you get a feeling for the mechanics, they're pretty easy to dodge. And now we're on to the best mechanic in the entire game, where you wait for a minute for the fight to progress. So you can see the Blackstone Dragon flies around here. He's immune to damage when he does this, and he spawns fire lines. The fire line, you can see it will come towards you, and then a branch will come out towards you again. So you can see you definitely do want to be walking away from these because the fire can hit hard. But as you can see, it's pretty easy to dodge this stuff. It's a very simple mechanic. And now you can see the Dragonstone, or Blackstone Dragon, will just continue to fly until eventually he is attackable again. So one more jump and he will be attackable. So you can see, just make sure you're running away from those branches. And now the dragon is attackable. Just wall bomb him again. And then the first mechanic he will do here is another Ring of Fire. So much like before, just step out of range of this. Go to like max necromancy distance, and the spiral will go in between you and the dragon, as you can see here, just like that. And it's pretty easy to deal with this mechanic. And yeah, then you should be able to easily Revo down this boss and completely tank all of the hits it does, and you should be pretty much fine here. Unfortunately, we did not get a living death there, but doesn't really matter. The only mechanic you really have to worry about here is going to be that massive AoE, but again, you can see it spawned out of range to even hit us, so it doesn't even matter. And then maybe this Gemstone Dragon attack here, because this attack can hit pretty hard. But again, as you can see, very easy to be dealing with this boss fight. It's really only a few very simple movement-based mechanics, and then you can't even unfilter your chat to see what kind of loot you got, which is very nice. That is the entire dungeon. Very, very simple, very, very revoable with necromancy, and definitely be doing this if you need to be getting your melee codexes or you just want to make a little bit of money. Thanks for watching, guys. This video maybe was a little bit long, but maybe it's, you know, helpful to show an entire dungeon run just sped up a little bit. But yeah, hopefully this video helped some people get their melee codexes and maybe get their Blackstone Dragon log. And yeah, if you guys made it this far in the video, definitely drop a like on it and help promote this channel to more people. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.